Greetings, you crawling filth. I hope you're doing well. My name is Graham, and welcome to the Crack-A-Pack here on LRRMTG. Please subscribe and join our channel and all that good stuff. Today, I'm opening a pack of Betrayers of Kamigawa that was given to us by Christine and Brad at MagicCon Chicago 2024, and I thank you both for that, because we've opened packs of this once before on the show, and I don't remember when. So, let's go. Ah, the Shuriken. Good. I can never remember what the different Kamigawa sets expansion symbols are. Well, I know what they are. It's a Torii Gate and a Shuriken and a lantern, which I assume. I think it is actually champions, betrayers, and saviors in that order. Torii Gate, Shuriken, lantern, but none of that's relevant, because we're going to go through this pack. And we're going to start with Shimmering Glasskite. 3 and a blue for a 2/3 spirit with flying, and when it becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time in a turn, counter that spell or ability. Yeah, because it's got a bubble. It's surrounded by a protective bubble. Or a shell, according to the flavor text. Well, that's not nearly as fun to say. Kira, Great Glass Spinner, was the one that was included in Magic Online Cube a lot for a long time. And wasn't that just basically the same as this, but it was 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer? It was 1 blue for basically the same otherwise? Or did it also do something else that I'm forgetting that made it cube worthy?
Kira, the Great Glass Splinter?
Yeah.
So it's a 2/2 flyer for 1 blue. And creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter that spell or ability.
It gives it to all your creatures. That's why it's relevant. Okay, fair enough. I just haven't seen it in a while. Next, we have Child of Thorns. Single green mana for a 1/1 spirit, and you can sacrifice it to give target creature +1/+1 until end of turn. So that's, now on the face of it, that may seem bad, but it is. But there was Soul Shift, so you could get spirits back from your graveyard. So a spirit going to the graveyard wasn't the worst thing in the world. And there were cards that cared about having spirits. So it's still bad, but maybe there was value there. How about this? Okiba Gang Shinobi. 3 black for a 3/2 rat ninja with ninjutsu for 3 and a black. And when it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards 2 cards. Surprise Mind Rot. The worst kind. Yeah, Okiba Gang Shinobi is good stuff. Kami of Tattered Shoji. 4 and white for a 2/5 spirit. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, Kami of Tattered Shoji gains flying until end of turn. So you play your Child of Thorns, and then this gets flying, and then you attack with it, and then you ninjutsu in the Okiba Gang Shinobi, and you're in 3 colors? What are you doing? There's a way that this works. Next, Frostling. It's another 1/1 for a 1 spirit. It's a single red mana this time, and you can sacrifice Frostling to deal 1 damage to target creature. Okay, so I am inferring that there is a cycle of single mana 1/1 spirits that you sacrifice for an effect of that color, and that's probably playable in some way that I am not aware of, because I have never once claimed to be an expert in original Kamigawa drafting. Nor any drafting, actually. I just like it. I'm not necessarily an expert in anything. Ribbons of the Reikai. Certainly not an expert in this. 4 and a blue for a sorcery with arcane. Draw a card for each spirit you control. 5 mana, that's so much. Boy, I hope you're at least drawing 3 cards off this. That's quite a lot of work. And it has arcane, so you can like splice onto it, if you remember how that worked. If you don't remember how splice onto arcane works, there were spells, usually instants, that had an ability called splice onto arcane, which is that you would cast this spell, and you'd say it's an arcane spell, and also I'm paying the mana cost for this card with splice that's in my hand. I'm showing it to you, but I'm not using it. It's going back in my hand, but I'm splicing those the text of that card onto this card. So this card now does what it does and what the other card does. I can see why they've not necessarily tried to revisit that, but I do think it's something that might be salvageable one day. Hopefully not with Ribbons of the Reikai, though. Floodbringer, 1 and blue for a 1/2 Moonfolk wizard with flying. For 2 and return a land you control to its owner's hand. Tap target land. So the Moonfolk had this, like, return lands to your hand to get an effect theme. And some of those were really, really, really good, like Moloku, who you also would see in Cube from time to time. And some of them I have a hard time evaluating. We'll just say that. It seems bad, but I'm having a hard time evaluating it. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just 2 mana and return one of your own lands just to tap. So you got to do it in their upkeep. And then you're... That doesn't seem good. Anyway, moving on. Petalmane Baku. I do like the art on the Bakus. They're very, very weird. 1 and a green for a 1/2 spirit. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, you may put a key counter on Petalmane Baku, and for 1 and remove X key counters, add X mana of any one color to your mana pool. Synergies! Right? Yeah. Woo, synergies. Gross. Sorry. Blessing of Leeches. Gross. 2 and a black for a creature enchantment with flash, or you may play Blessing of Leeches anytime you could play an instant, but it's flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life, and for 0 mana, regenerate enchanted creature. So you can just infinitely put regeneration bubbles. I think not even a few episodes back, I went very pedantically on explaining how regeneration works, and I'm not going to do it again. But the fact that it's like 0:regenerate, so you have to like pay nothing to regenerate, and you can just keep putting regeneration shields on. I like the idea of this set more than I like the execution. Heart of Light is another creature enchantment. 2 and a white. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by enchanted creature. Okay. I mean, like Floodbringer, for example. Bad example, but you could still activate its ability and it can block anything really well and not die from combat damage ever. It's not amazing. Aki Blizzard Herder. I'd love to see a goblin try to herd a blizzard. Maybe the goblin just misinterpreted it. Maybe it's like, yeah, I've heard of a blizzard. I know what a blizzard is. When you hand them over, you're supposed to go, whoa, right? 1 and a red for a 1/1 goblin shaman. When Aki Blizzard Herder, who has heard of blizzards, is put into your graveyard from play, each player sacrifices a land. So I guess this is like anti-Moonfolk tech. If you're the red deck that doesn't care if you're maybe down a land, but you're trying to get the resources away from your opponent, maybe? I'm desperately theorizing ways that some of these cards are good. Nezumi Shadow Watcher. 1 black mana for a 1/1 rat warrior. Sacrifice Nezumi Shadow Watcher. Destroy target ninja. Okay. So this is not part of this like spirit cycle, and it's an uncommon, but it's still a 1 mana 1/1 that doesn't do anything except you can sacrifice it for an effect. In this case, destroy target ninja, which could be cool if they wouldn't ninjutsu something if you have this in play, but the point is maybe that's stopping them from doing ninjutsu. It's so narrow. All right, come on. You got 3 cards left. Pack of Betrayers. Sell me on the concept of you. Genju of the Fields. I'm familiar with the Genjus. Hold on. Single white mana. Enchant Plains for 2 mana until end of turn. Oh, you have to pay to activate it? This is not nearly as good as the Zendikon. Until end of turn, Enchanted Plains becomes a 2/5 white spirit creature with whenever this creature deals damage, you gain that much life. It's still a land. When Enchanted Plains is put into the graveyard, you may return Genju of the Fields from your graveyard to your hand. Curiously, the creature doesn't get lifelink. It gets the triggered ability of that. So if you gave it lifelink, you could get double life. I mean, I like that these effects tend to do a thing where, like, if the creature dies, you get this back to your hand, or you get the land back to your hand, one or the other. And that's cool, but this is not a great, it's not a high value version of that. Aura Barbs, 2 and a red for an instant with Arcane. Each enchantment deals 2 damage to its controller. Then each enchantment enchanting a creature deals 2 damage to the creature it's enchanting. Right. So, Heart of Light wouldn't deal damage to the because the creature can't be dealt damage. So you protect your own creature with Heart of Light. You still take 2. You gotta hope your opponent has enchantments. This is very narrow. Each enchantment deals 2 damage to its controller, and then Aura Barbs ain't it. All right, what's the rare? Here we go. Big money. And by money, I just mean, I'm not expecting big money, but give me something playable. Hope the ba. Mirror Gallery. Oh no. I know what this card does. It's a 5-mana artifact with Molokus everywhere. The legend rule, in quotes, doesn't apply. I love that they did that, because it's like, it would be too annoying to like cite the actual rules number on the card. So we're just going to call it the legend rule because everyone else calls it the legend rule, even though it's not technically what it's called. The legend rule doesn't apply. Which version? Because the legend rule, when this was printed in 2005, is different at least once, if not different again, from when this was printed. Is this any good anymore? And the Planeswalker uniqueness rule was different, and then they incorporated that into the legend rule, and then now it's different another time. Folks, I literally don't know where to begin with this. If I was sitting down to draft this for the first time, Shimmering Glaskite. It's a 2/3 flyer for 4 that they have to use 2 things in a turn to kill it. Yeah. Shimmering Glaskite. That's the first pick. The pack as a whole is worth $5.97, and over $3 of that is the Mirror Gallery, which is interesting. So I did look it up since I talked about it, and the original legend rule was that only 1 legend of the same name could be on the battlefield at the same time. For a period of time, it was even restricted that you could only have 1 in your deck, which is an interesting idea. But when Champions of Kamigawa came out, so just 1 set before this, they changed it so that it was how I learned it the first time, which was that if you had a legendary creature in play and I played my own copy of the legendary creature, they both just went away. Like, all of them got sacrificed. And then in 2014, they changed it to what it is now, which is we can both have one, but if I play a second one, then I have to pick which one I keep and the other one gets sacrificed. So did Mirror Gallery get better with this new rule, with the change? Did it get worse? Does it still do what it did then? I didn't look that up. I assume that they're just like, the Mirror Gallery just it's fine. We don't need to errata that to be what it was when it was released. It can just be whatever it is now. And it's worth over $3 because of it. So that's cool, I guess. Hey, despite my misgivings of the quality of cards, I do want to thank Christine and Brad for giving me this pack, because it was certainly fun to read. That's going to do it for the Crack-A-Pack today. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Until next time, I have been Graham, joined by James on Tech. Matt edits these with Jordan. Heather gets them online. Thank you all so much for watching and listening and supporting us, however you choose to do that, be it on our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, by clicking join below to support us on this very YouTube channel, or by watching and telling your friends. Any of these are valid. Talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.